I'm at the Fuller Symposium here to provide a perspective about how aquatic ecosystems change in response to shifts in the climate they experience. I'm a professor at the University of Washington who focuses my research on freshwater ecosystems in Washington and Alaska, in particular systems that support salmon populations. One of the key things we're learning from our research is that it's often the case that as scientists we're trying to explain away detail and explain away heterogeneity in ecosystems. And by doing so we often lose perspective of the fact that this heterogeneity is actually an important component of the ecosystems that we may not have to understand perfectly to realize that it is an important aspect of the systems that we should maybe focus our management and conservation efforts on maintaining. We think of heterogeneity as the diversity of populations within a species, within a region, and also the diversity of flow regimes in rivers and the diversity of habitat conditions that these populations encounter. And the general expectation from science is that populations respond in exactly the same manner within a regional context. And what we've learned from salmon ecosystems that are largely pristine in Alaska is that there is a lot of variation in how neighboring populations respond to the same overriding climate signal. And part of the message, I think, is that we need to maintain this diversity if we're going to maintain the ecosystem services like fisheries that integrate across all that diversity, because fisheries are catching individual fish from different components of the overall watershed. A useful metaphor is the portfolio effect that is commonplace in investment literature and in investment practice. And the idea there is that a diversified stock portfolio is actually more productive over the long term and certainly less variable from year to year if it contains a diverse set of strategies in it. The same metaphor is very useful to think about salmon landscapes, where each individual population or each piece of habitat is an individual stock in the overall portfolio. It's the portfolio that fisheries interact with, and it's this portfolio that mobile predators like brown bears and resident trout interact with. So in that case, the variation they see from year to year is much less than it would be if the diversification didn't exist in the overall habitat and among all the populations of this species.